Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is the place where we help mission-driven messengers just like you learn how to build and monetize your personal brand. My name is Rory Vaden, and I'm the co-founder of Brand Builders Group, a Hall of Fame speaker, and New York Times bestselling author. And this show is to help experts learn how to become more wealthy and well-known. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. One of the things that I believe firmly is that relationships are the irrefutable accelerant to success. And I think a lot of people think they're good at relationships when they really are not. And today you're going to hear from one of my good friends, Selena Soo, and she is now a USA Today national best-selling author of this book, Rich Relationships. She is also a multi-seven-figure entrepreneur. She's done many multi-six-figure and seven-figure launches. She's worked with a lot of the biggest personal brands in the world. She is featured regularly in major news media outlets. She also gets a lot of her friends and clients into major news media outlets and on stages and in front of audiences that they need to meet. And this book teaches you exactly how to build meaningful relationships, deep relationships, not just casual networking. So we're going to talk about how you can do that to get more speaking engagements, to get more consulting, coaching clients, more clients for your practice, for your advisory business. And we're going to do it authentically and genuinely with my friend, Selena Soo. Welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, totally. So I want to start with the 6 circles.
Okay.
So you have a
sure.
concept in here about the 6 circles. And then actually there's the 6 and 5. And you also talk about the mentors that everybody, or the relationships that everyone needs to have. So pick one of those and let's dive into those 2 frameworks.
Yeah, I would love to. So first, I just want to begin by defining what a rich relationship is.
Okay.
So a rich relationship is one that brings financial abundance to your life. They're with people who want to help you reach your goals and dreams faster. They're connected to your goals and dreams. And then last but not least, these are healthy relationships. They're supportive. They're people who inspire you. And so if you find yourself in a relationship with someone where you don't feel safe or you feel like they don't have your best interests at heart, but they're powerful and influential, that is not a rich relationship. So just kind of starting there.
So it's got to be like mutual. You got to feel safe. And you're saying it's specifically financial.
Yeah, it's a relationship that can create abundance for you, but there's different kinds of abundance, right? And sometimes it's direct and sometimes it's indirect. So if we look at, for example, the 5 rich relationships that you need to have.
Yeah, so this is what I was asking
So
about.
it's
Let's
perfect.
start with there, yeah.
Yeah, so one, you need to have mentors, right? To help you reach your goals and dreams faster, right? They can shortcut things for you. And then you also need to have supportive peers so you don't feel alone in your journey. Then I also believe that everybody should have promoters in their corner. So promoters could be referral partners or affiliate partners who directly send business to you, or they could be media or other people who are singing your praises out in the world. And then, of course, we all need team members. And even if you're a solopreneur, you still need people to help you with different things. You can't do everything on your own to reach your full potential. And then last but not least, we need confidants. And so these are people who we can open up with about the hard things that we're going through. And so a confidant might make you help you get your confidence back. So you go out there. It could even be a therapist or an executive coach. Maybe the therapist isn't directly helping you make money, but because they're part of your support network and a rich relationship, like in a different way, they are helping you move forward with your business.
So it's like you've got you in your center, and then you've got mentors, people who are helping you. You've got promoters. You've got team members. You've got your confidant.
And then your peers.
And then your peers.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny about peers because I really, really value that. And I think a lot of people don't. They underestimate how important it is to be like I respect the feedback of my peers so much. Like I will listen to what another writer or a speaker tells me before like the general population or the general public.
Yeah.
So I love that. And you go, these are relationships that bring you abundance.
Yeah, that
money,
create wealth. Yeah.
energy, time. And I love the word about feeling safe. I think that's important in any relationship. But if you don't feel that, what was the thing that you said at the end? You said if there's someone who's like intimidating to you, or they're like very successful,
or they don't have your best interests at heart, they don't want to see you win, then that's not a rich relationship.
How do you know? How do you know who really has your back? Like, what are some of the things? Because it's like, you have social media friends that you kind of meet, And people are like, oh, you don't ever meet real friends. I'm like, I actually have met some people on social media that have become like really important to me that I really trust. But you know, what are some of the things that you look for in terms of going, how do you know if somebody really does have your back?
Yeah. So I think that people who have your back, like you see it in their actions, how they consistently show up. I mean, there is also, what happens in business sometimes is there is, love bombing or people coming on really strong, really quickly. We're like, oh my gosh, this is my new best friend. But the reality is if you've only had one or two conversations, you don't actually know them, right? So everything gets revealed over time. So just seeing how they consistently show up for you. Do they follow through on their word? I think there's a lot of people that get excited and they say things, they make promises, but they're not personally organized. And so they don't follow through. And that doesn't mean that they don't have your back, but there are going to be people who it's like time and time again, like they're always there. It's like when you're like, I've got my book coming out or I've launched my podcast or I need help in this way. They're always the first to be like, I'm leaving that Amazon review. I'm promoting your podcast. I'm showing up to the event. I'm bringing friends, right? And so it's just kind of observing that. And I think a lot of people, they think about, well, who's powerful, who's influential, who feels hard to reach, who's got followers. And they think that those are the rich relationships, right? But your rich relationships are people who are really there with you through the thick and thin.
You are such a great example of that as a friend. You promote, not just for me, but like definitely for me, but all of your friends that like I know. It's like Selena is the one doing reviews. She is sending out emails. She is introducing people constantly. Like if she says, I'm going to try to connect you to so-and-so, like you connect them to so-and-so. I think that's a really, really beautiful thing about you.
Thank you.
Practicing what you preach. So I want to, you have a phrase that you say about one rich relationship is worth, and I want you to talk about the difference between connections versus real relationships.
So the phrase is that one rich relationship is more valuable than 100 casual connections.
That's
right?
good. One rich relationship is better than 1,000, 100.
100 casual although really like 1,000 or 10,000.
Yeah,
I came up with it during my BBG intensive, by the way. It just came out of my mouth. So co-creation.
So good.
But yeah. So, people sometimes think like they go to events, they take pictures with celebrities. These are not your rich relationships, right? So I think this is a perfect time to talk about the 6 circles of connection because everybody falls into the 6 circles. And I think the biggest challenge that I find with people, Rory, is that they feel overwhelmed by like, how do I manage my network? When over my decades of life, I've literally met multiple thousands of people. So how do I manage my network, right? So the first thing to do is think about, well, where do people fall in the 6 circles? And the 6 circles are based on trust and the proximity you give to them. So we're going to start with circle 1. So circle 1, these are your innermost circle of connections. These are the people you're doing life with. And typically there's only going to be a handful, 1, 3, maybe 4 or 5. So this would be your life partner. This would be your longtime very best friend. Maybe if someone speaks to a therapist weekly and they've had that relationship over multiple years, maybe they fall in there. But it's people that you're really opening up to completely about everything that you're going through. And you feel like if you said, I need help, like it's automatic, like you can count on them. They say with relationships, you shouldn't expect things, but for your circle 1 and your circle 2, it is healthy to expect your most important relationships to show up for you, right? So if I asked a circle 1 in your life, what's Rory up to this week? What's happening with him? Like they would have an answer. So that's how you know they're circle 1. They're kind of on the pulse of what's happening, if not day by day, week by week.
And so these are circles that are like moving out from you in the center of like concentric circles. Is that the term? Maybe not.
It is concentric. Yeah. Okay. So 1 is like the closest. So and some people have 0, in circle 1, but typically it's just a handful, like usually 1 to 3. Then you have circle 2. So these are your treasured connections. And these could be people who are like very close team members, maybe a business partner, really close friends, colleagues, maybe your, top supporters in your business that just consistently show up, you can count on them. These are your circle 2, right? So that's usually like half a dozen to a dozen people.
Okay.
So 6 to 12.
I'm thinking about Jesus here. Like Jesus had his 3 best friends and then he had the 12 disciples. Well, it's like
I love this.
classic, exactly what you're talking about
Oh
in
my
terms of the
goodness.
numbers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So then you get circle 3.
Yeah, so circle 3, this is a pretty broad circle. So this is your active network, right? And so these are people that you're close to, and there's 3 characteristics. So these are people that you respect, right? These are people that you'd feel comfortable recommending and introducing to other people. And these are people that are also responsive. So sometimes we might think someone's in our circle 2 or circle 3, but if we're texting them and we need help and we're like, and they're ignoring us, they're not in that circle. They're in an outer circle, right? So circle 1 and 2, like 1 and 2 will always show up for you. The things that 1 is on like the weekly pulse of what's going on, right? Super, super inner circle. And then 3, it might not be a guarantee that they can always do everything that you want them to do, but they really would like to.
They're not going
right?
to ignore you flat out, or if they do, they're like, "I'm so sorry, I just couldn't get back to you." But they
Yeah.
respond. I think that's a really key. They're
Responsive.
responsive.
Yeah.
So you respect them, and they're also responsive.
Yeah. So you would invite them to the party. You would feel comfortable introducing them to treasured people in your network. But then if there is someone where you're like, I'm not like, I still want them in my network, but I feel like they need to be a little bit at an arm's length. I don't want to be like, I can't be their friend. There's still benefit, but there
Okay.
needs to be a little bit of distance. That's circle 4, right? So circle 4 are your distant connections. These are also called weak ties. So there's, 3 different reasons why people are in circle 4. So one might be, okay, there's things I like about them. Maybe we have history, but there's not total alignment. I just need to kind of manage that relationship thoughtfully. They might not even be good for your reputation to be like closely aligned, but you're like, you know what, they're okay, right? You can have them around.
Or there could be like a very specific type of person you would introduce them to, or introduce to them if there's like maybe something like that. But
Yeah. So
yeah.
maybe but it could be something like maybe they dropped the ball, maybe they're super negative, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit of distance. Or another reason might be like they're just an acquaintance, right? Like your life is so full, and maybe what they do is not as relevant to you and the people in your circle. So it's like they're more of an acquaintance, and like you value and appreciate them, but you're not actively in touch all the time, but you can tap into them when you need them.
Okay.
Or if you just met someone, like the first and second meeting, someone's still going to be in circle 4 because you could feel like, wow, they're amazing. But the reality is after 1 or 2 meetings, someone is still a stranger.
Okay.
And it takes time to build trust in order to let them into the more inner circles.
So what's the difference between circle 5 and circle 4?
Yeah. So a lot of people are in circle 4, and there will not be many people in circle 5. So circle 5 is disconnected. So these are people that have perhaps betrayed you. These are people where you don't feel safe around them. It's not healthy for you to be in close proximity.
Oh, interesting.
You don't want to be associated with them. And most people have like a couple people over the course of their lifetime that have put themselves into that category. And it's just part of, healthy boundaries, basically. You can be kind and cordial, but if there was a small brunch with 4 people and you were invited and you were sitting next to your circle 5, you'd probably be like, I don't want to go to that event. And that's not someone that I would recommend at all to others,
And
right?
what about circle 6?
So circle 6 is everyone else out
Like
into the
strangers,
world.
basically.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's like, billions of people in the world. But everyone falls into these different circles. And so I think that this is helpful to know, not because you're going to announce to someone you're in circle 4 or you're in circle 2, but So if you notice that someone is treating you a particular way and it's like, wow, I go above and beyond for them, but they're treating me like this or they're showing up in this way, like right now mentally, I've moved them to circle 4. And then just being really aware of who are the people that show up for you, who prioritizes you, who do you feel safe around, who is responsive, who supports you, right? These are your circle 1, 2s, and 3s. So those are going to be your priority people. That being said, it is good to have weak ties as well, but they don't get the same consistent energy from you.
All right. So let's talk about how to get access to influential people.
Yes.
Because, influential people tend to be influential for a reason. They can they can make things happen, right? They can knock down walls, they can get things moving, but they also tend to be the people everyone is trying to get to, and so it can be really hard to get to them. And also they reach a point, I think, where they start to know that people are trying to get to them, and it's because people want something from them, and so they tend to it's like the more influential someone becomes, a lot of times I feel like the more guarded they become. how do you build relationships with some of those people, right? And it's like, I'm thinking it's like, it could be a literary agent. It could be someone who runs a speakers bureau. It could be someone with a huge podcast. It could be someone who's a
Right.
TV show host. It could be somebody who writes for an important publication. And over time, they're like, oh, okay. Like a lot of the people who want access to me don't really care about me. They really care about my audience or my thing or my whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it's sort of a tricky thing to go, how do I build trust with that person that everyone else is sort of trying to get to? Or it could be just like a celebrity endorsement or
Yeah, no,
something like that.
100.
So
Yeah, I have so much to say about this. I feel like
yes,
this is
well,
truly
you're
my
really good at this. I
superpower.
want to hear how you approach
Yeah.
this.
So when I think about a busy, influential person, I think of them as this train and they're on the tracks, they're going full speed ahead. And there might be moments where the train stops and it opens up the doors and let people's on, but then it, continues forward. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people, when they're trying to connect with that busy, influential person, it's like they're trying to pull the train off the tracks. They're like, hey, this is my agenda. This is what I need from you. And it's just simply not going to work.
Mm.
And so the way to really connect with busy, influential people is when there's an opening, you just jump on the train and help them get to their end destination faster. And so you want to be really good at understanding what people need. And a concept that I've coined is breathtaking generosity.
Yes.
And so it's this idea of, being so kind, so it's like you're their new favorite person. And so there's two primary ways to be breathtakingly generous. So one is being a pain detective. And I first heard Joe Polish use this word. So
A pain
pain
detective.
detective.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's being really attuned to the pain in the people who matter to you. So some people might say, Selena, Rory, how do I know when people are in pain? They're not telling me they're in pain. And I would say it's actually pretty obvious. There's usually a few different categories of pain. So one would be natural disaster. Many of us
Sure.
know people who've been affected by hurricanes and floods and fires, right? So that's one category. Relationships. Maybe someone is going through a divorce, or maybe they're having behavior issues with their kids, or maybe their, parents are aging and sick, right? Health. Maybe they have a chronic illness, right? Or someone that they care about. Financial. Maybe their business is not doing well and things are falling apart. Or identity, where it's like, I'm not married to this person anymore. I'm not a part of this community. The business topic that everyone knew me for is not even the thing I do anymore, right?
Mm.
And so I think if we all slow down a little bit, I think that we could identify people in our world who are in pain. And so when I say when people are in pain, be the first to show up and not the last to show up. So I feel like I've always been really good at just spotting when people are in pain and need help. And I'm just like, I'm right there, like right away.
Mm.
And I think that people don't do it, not because they don't care, but because they haven't consciously prioritized that when they see people in pain, it's like, be the first, right? Don't be the last, or the person who doesn't show up at all. So that's one. The second is being a dream amplifier. And so really paying attention to when people have these big goals and dreams. And you know what they are because they're sharing them. They're sharing them on social media. They're sharing them on their newsletter. They're sharing them in conversations, whether it's like, I want to be a new and noteworthy podcast. I dream of being on the New York Times bestsellers list. I want to speak on stages. I want to get this new business idea off the ground. Oh my gosh, I would die if I could get connected to this person and maybe one day earn their endorsement, right? So if you're really close to someone, you could ask them. But the reality is, let's say if we look at just entrepreneurs or personal brands, most people's goals and dreams are exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They want to connect with other people that inspire them. They want to, make more money. They want people to take things off their plate. They want to have more peace, more ease. And so when you really become that pain detective and that dream amplifier and consistently show it with breathtaking generosity, and when I say consistently, I don't mean that like every moment of your life you have to do that. But when there's someone that's important to you and you see that opportunity, right, just be the first to show up and not the last.
But your metaphor about the train is so good. I think that's so powerful. And I know that you were talking about that a little bit before, the pain detective, but the idea that everybody is on a path to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, instead of trying to pull them over to what you're doing, if
Yeah.
you can just like hop on to their train and help them do the thing that they're trying to do, like that is the easiest way to get noticed, to be valuable, to be useful. I think not enough people understand that. And I think about, and I always use this story. So a few weeks ago, I finally, so the story is of a woman named Gretchen Rubin who wrote The Happiness Project. And I just thought, oh my gosh, she's just so cool. And she was amazing. And I saw that she had a new book coming out, and I reached out to her, and I was just like, hey, is there any chance you'd come on my podcast? By the way, I know I don't have the world's largest podcast. I have a great show, but I also have a lot of friends that have podcasts. And if you'd be willing to come on my show, I will proactively introduce you to all of these other shows. And she said yes. And then I did. And that started a relationship, which has now been going for like 13 years. And we just met in person like a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's incredible.
And our entire relationship was just over like virtual. But I met her because it was like that, book launches are one of the times where everybody needs help and they're open to receiving help. Like we use, again, that train metaphor of like the door opens. When someone is launching a book, like you just need to know this. If someone has a book coming out, they need help. They're trying to get the word out, and a lot of their friends are ghosting on them, and like they scatter like cockroaches. And you're going like, if you can show up and be like, I'm excited about this project, I want to help, and you do something, that's a great window. And like you're saying, you look for those windows. When someone's starting a new company, that would be very similar. When someone enters a contest, or if they're going through a difficult time. But it's like you're talking about it being a pain detective, but it also seems like when they're being like a dream chaser. It's like those two moments are like,
exactly.
Those are the two moments where people are most receptive to help, and thereby most receptive to new relationships that they might not otherwise be. I love that.
Yeah. So there's like golden moments of opportunity, and you just have to be very good at
There's
spotting
stops
them.
on the train.
That's a train stop.
That's a train stop.
And the other thing is, you were talking about the relationship with Gretchen, is that I think we need to cover this concept of reciprocity, because I'm not a fan. And most people are always like, I'm looking for reciprocal relationships, right? Or they feel like I help people a lot and they don't help me. So here's the thing. I don't believe in reciprocity at all. I believe in generosity, and I believe in energetic abundance. So for example, in your relationship with Gretchen, you proactively reached out to her. I would love to feature you. And, and if you're, a yes to this, I also want to, make all these, introductions and support you even more. But it's not like, let's say if you hooked Gretchen up with 13 interviews, you're like, hey, Gretchen, can you introduce me to 13 of your friends, right? That's not like the way that you do it.
Totally.
And I think that also sometimes people are at different levels, right, of business and in their careers. So we're all equal as human beings.
Amen.
Everyone deserves like respect and kindness. But if you're reaching out to maybe somebody that you really look up to, that's like 20 years further ahead, that has millions of followers, and you support their book launch in breathtakingly generous ways, it is not realistic to expect that they reciprocate in the same way. They might have like 500 people on their book launch team. They just simply can't do that. And so, when people try to create these tit for tat relationships, and I think that if some people want to do that, that's fine. The reality is it's just extremely limiting. And so I think it's more important to think long term and think about, how do I create energetic abundance? Because there may be someone where it's like, I'm going to help them and they may never help me. But if they're grateful and we're building that connection and I'm feeling alive and they're feeling alive from it, it's positive. With like, say, a mentor-mentee relationship, typically the mentor is always going to give a lot more than the mentee, right?
Sure.
So looking for 50-50 and looking for transactional relationships is very limiting. I call that transactional giving. And there's indiscriminate giving, where someone just feels like I need to say yes to everyone so that everybody likes me. And, they kind of center everyone else and they forget about their own needs. And then there's rich giving, which is what I teach, which is being really clear on, who do I intentionally want to pour into? Which relationships feel energizing and abundant? Which relationships I would give even, just because it feels good to give? That being said, there are nuances. Of course, if you feel that the person is draining or they don't care about you at all and they only want to use you, that's not a rich relationship. That's not energetic abundance, right? So I think that that's the way, is don't look for reciprocal relationships. If you're saying, people don't help me, it's because you're either doing one of two things. One, you're choosing the wrong people to invest in you, because the right people, when you show up with kindness and generosity consistently, they want to help you too, right? So either you're investing in the wrong people, or two, people don't know what your goals and dreams are, so they don't know how to help you, or you never told them explicitly what they can do to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always found too that like you don't really have to keep score, because it's like even if Selena gives me something and I don't directly reciprocate to you, I have found that like you can't outgive God. Like you can't outgive the universe. So even if I don't reciprocate back to you equally, someone else will. Like it always comes back to me, whereas like it may not happen through that person,
Right.
but eventually the blessings come back. You always get paid. You always get rewarded for how generous you are to people.
Always.
Sometimes it's from that person. Oftentimes it's from another, but sooner or later it will come back to you. And here's something I want to articulate. Well, I want to share the single biggest thing I've gotten clarity on relationships in my own life just recently. And it's about when I introduce people to each other.
Yeah.
Because, over the years, we've built some relationships with people who are like pretty influential. And pretty much there's not a day that goes by that somebody's like, can I meet Lewis Howes? Will you introduce me to Amy Porterfield? Like, will you introduce me to Cody Sanchez, or whoever the person is?
Yeah.
And I struggled with this for the longest time. It was so hard because I was like, well, it's not that I don't want to introduce you, because I want to help you, but there's something that doesn't feel right. And I couldn't put my finger on why don't I feel right about it. And recently I did, maybe it's like 6 months ago or maybe a year ago. And it has been so clarifying for me. And now I only have one rule when it comes to introducing people to each other. I say, I will introduce you to Lewis Howes the moment you can add as much value to him as he can add to you. And if that moment comes, you won't have to ask me. I will automatically introduce you because I care about you and I care about Lewis. But if, I can't add value to Oprah right now in a way that she can't get access to it somewhere else.
Right.
So it's going to be hard for someone to introduce me to Oprah.
Right.
Until it's not, right? Until she's maybe struggling with something that I have a specific expertise in, or something that she can't get anywhere else. But I think as we evaluate our relationships with people and how much someone has been giving to us, I think it's like we have to also be mindful that we can't be upset at friends who can't deliver things for us that aren't equally yoked with who we are.
Right. That's so true.
But then it's like, sometimes they are. So like Lewis is a good example, right? Is to go, well, I can't introduce you to be on Lewis's show, like because you're a brand new person, whatever, right? But then I go, oh, well, the moment that Lewis becomes super interested in like, there's a health crisis in his family and he needs a person who can help with da-da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, now I can introduce this person because he has that need. And so I think if you go through life just going, and this is something you do really well, if you just go through life going, how can I add value?
Yeah.
Where can I add value? Where can I contribute? Then sooner or later, your name's going to show up in the hat on the receiving end of that somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you're building your reputation, you're building goodwill. I like to think of it that when you're investing in these relationships and you're giving generously, you're actually investing in your overall network, and your network just starts to get stronger, right?
I love the breathtaking generosity.
Yeah.
Because that's it too, is to aspire to go, how can I blow their mind? Like, how can I knock their socks off?
I will have to share one example of this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's in my book. So basically, this was a couple years ago, and things were, well, first of all, they were like up and down in my business launches that used to do, really well were not doing well anymore. I, had also moved to Puerto Rico, and everybody was like, you should be investing in crypto. And, you hear of people that put in 100,000 and it becomes 10 million. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, why am I not doing it? And so I converted my retirement savings into a self-directed IRA so I could invest in crypto.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I lost $100,000. So that happened. And then at the same time, I was investing in real estate because, they say passive income is so important. I had a second property. But then what happened is there were other properties that were like popping up around that were more suited for that area. It was more a family focused area. And so I was losing like $6,000 a month on my 2-bedroom.
Oh, man.
So everything was like kind of all happening at once. And I was like, I need a money coach. Like whenever I need help, I always invest in a coach. So even though I've never done this, I need to find a money coach. So I just like Googled online. I found like the Dave Ramsey website. I answered some questions and they assigned me to this coach. And her name's Jenna Rose, and she's amazing. And I just started to feel very confident. I had my game plan. I'm like, okay, I'm like fixing things and really, feeling good. And I have the kind of personality where if I think someone's great, I just like to tell everybody, like, you got to work with them. And I would tell like certain friends, like my best friend, like 7 different times to hire Jenna Rose, and she didn't do it. And so I just thought, I just need to buy sessions for everyone. And at around the same time, I was promoting a friend who had a money course. So I needed a kind of like a cool bonus
Like a giveaway.
package. Yeah. So I went to Jenna Rose and said, like, what if I just bought like sessions and just gave them to tons of people? Like like what if it was like ended up being like 100 sessions or whatever? What kind of price point could you give me? So it's like a no-brainer for me to use as some bonus packages and things like that. And so this is a number that she came up with, not me. But it was basically, she was willing to give me a package of 4 sessions with her for $200 one-on-one. Because she knew that a lot of times she might have to have like 1 or 2 conversations or more, like before someone even becomes a client. So she's like, oh, wow, Selena's putting me in front of all these dream clients. Like I'll do it for $200. And so when I noticed people around me, because I wasn't the only person that was experiencing these shifts in the marketplace, right? People that were struggling with money, like dear friends of mine, people that were going through divorce, and there's like a huge financial consequence there. I would just like send a little voice note, like 90 seconds, like, hey, I was thinking of you. I recently worked with this person and it's created so much transformation. And I would love to gift you some sessions.
Wow.
And just to be super clear, like I do not need anything in return. I just want to support you as a friend. Let me know if you're open to an intro. And people, all my friends said yes. And so I would introduce them to Jenna Rose. And I remember one person, she's a single mom, and she was like, wow, Jenna Rose also made me realize all this money that I'm entitled to in my divorce I didn't expect. Another person was like, Jenna Rose showed me how to save $15,000 a month. So I'm doing the math, like $15,000 a month, 12 months, that's $18,000 in 1 year. So I put $200 in. It was probably 2 minutes of my time to send the voice note and make the intro. Jenna Rose is doing the sessions, not me. And I've helped someone who's important to me save $18,000 a year. And so breathtaking generosity doesn't have to take up a lot of your time. It might be connecting people to the right resources, gifting them a session, right? But I don't remember how many people I did that, but I remember after like losing $7,000 in Facebook ads, I just had like this personal goal. I'm going to spend at least $7,000 just gifting people sessions. And so there's different things that I do like that, or even with publicity. I might gift a session with my media coach. So it's not my time, but the time with my media coach, if it's something I'm paying internally, it's not, it's something that is financially manageable. And then we can even get someone a win from like one call, and then I make one introduction. And in some cases, it's like, wow, now they're in Forbes, and that could have cost them, many thousands, working with a publicist, right? A $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 contract, make an introduction, but I'm also mindful. I'm obviously not going to do like, 3 months of services for free, but like maybe, one call with a coach and one connection. So you just have to be clear on what feels good for you. Like how much are you willing to give that actually feels expansive and exciting and creates so much abundance? And then just do that same thing over and over again. And that's the important thing. Like when you're building relationships, it's not about doing a million different things. It's doing like 2 or 3 things over and over again, whether you're like the person that hosts dinner parties or you're the person that gifts this kind of service. And it really has that compound effect.
I love what you said about introducing vendor partners,
Yeah.
because I've come to realize that, like, I literally, in the last couple weeks, I said this to AJ. I said, I now believe that more than 70% of solving a problem comes down to just finding the person who knows how to solve the problem.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's just going, if you can just find the person who already knows how to do the thing you're trying to do or has done I mean, it's like the problem is basically solved. And going, introducing great vendors is one of the easiest things that any of us could do. Now, you're doing
Yeah.
it with money, right? You're
Yeah.
like buying a session, which is so awesome. But it's like, even if you're not,
Yeah.
if you go, you know how hard it is to find a good babysitter, a good cleaner, a good chef, a good mechanic, like a good lawyer, a good dentist, a good CPA. Like,
Yeah.
all of us have vendors,
Yes.
and we never think of how valuable, like, if a vendor is blowing your mind, to go like, I want to help them I want to tell all of my friends and family about this vendor. Like,
Right.
these people do what they say they're going to do. They're really good at what they do. They really can help you. And, like, they have integrity. And it's like everybody wins, and you get caught in the crossfire. So much of how I built my relationships is like, I'm introducing people to people who are way more influential than me. Like, I don't even belong in the conversation, but I, like, get caught in the crossfire of introducing people to each other. And then, it's like you introduce them to 5 people and they're like, hey, what can I do for you?
Right,
And, like,
right.
they're like, I honestly feel kind of bad. Like, you've connected me to all these amazing people. Like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, so it's all in that breathtaking generosity. And I love the tactical thing of introducing vendors, but that's super cool that you use your own money to pay sessions to help people avoid making mistakes that, like, you've personally struggled with.
Yeah. And I think I believe that everybody should be investing money into their relationships. I think a lot of people are comfortable making an introduction, but when there's anything financial, like, and it
You
like
have a
comes from
generosity fund.
Yeah.
You have
So
a
I
concept.
actually like recommend that everybody create a generosity fund for
Yes.
their business, right? And so I know, like, with, for example, Gadara of Unreasonable Hospitality, like, what they would do is they would carve out like 5% and just do these breathtakingly generous, unreasonably hospitable things for people. And that was like, that was just like a part of their business model. And so think about, what is it for you? Maybe it's 2%, maybe it's a flat, dollar amount. Maybe there's a percentage of your services that you'll gift to people in need. But when you think about, like, your VIP clients, your top affiliate partners and promoters, and you think about all that they do for you and all that they invest in you, if you carved out like 5% or 2% and, like, invested it back in them, obviously, like, it would pay dividends, right? So yeah, I think that's really important to think about, okay, who do I want to invest in? Like, who is my generosity fund for? Right? Is it clients? Is it team members? Is it promoters? Is it new relationships I'm looking to build? How much do I want to put in there, whether it's a percentage or a flat fee? And then what are the specific things I'm going to give? What are the services I'm going to give? What are the things I support? Maybe it's something like around, it could be a charitable initiative or something that is like religious, but whatever it is, like, these things, I'm like always a yes for that.
That's so great. One of the best marketing promotions that we started doing at Brand Builders Group is we give our clients a golden ticket where the client actually doesn't have to pay us the money.
Yeah.
But we gift them one ticket to go give this to a friend.
Yeah.
And then we actually will pay our client a referral fee if they give it to a friend and a friend signs up.
Right.
But we started doing that because it creates this, like, generosity loop of just like, we'll give you a ticket to gift to somebody. And that's a really effective example of doing that. But, like, that's to what you're saying, like, as a company, we budget for that X number of seats to be able to gift, for our clients to be able to gift. That's really good. I want to know where you want to direct people, but before I do, I got one more question for you. I'm so curious. This is completely a little bit off subject, but I'm so curious about your philosophy about AI and how is AI going to change the future of relationships and relationship building? Do you see it being something that will change it dramatically or not change it dramatically. Like relationships are gonna like. I'm just curious because you and I are both aligned in like how
Yeah.
important relationships are. Do you spend time thinking about how AI will interrupt that or not really, or what's your thought there?
Yeah, I think that business is being done differently now. So I think that there was a time where mass marketing was really effective. And I'm not saying don't do it. I think you can still do it, but I think mass marketing alone is not enough. Before you could spend a ton of money on Facebook ads or send a million emails or just do whatever and you could get people into your programs. And now like trust is lower than ever. And when I think about when I'm making buying decisions, I'm always just asking my friends. I'm asking my friends, my mentors, my peers, people that I trust. Who do you work with? Who do you recommend? Like that's the way I'm doing it. And so you want to be building those relationships with people of influence, right? And that's something that money can't buy. I remember a former team member wanted to get in touch with a very influential entrepreneur who I'm friends with, and she wanted to support her with her launch. And there's no amount of Facebook ads and mass marketing or cold email marketing that would get that highly influential person to say yes to that meeting. But when I knew that was a dream of hers, I was like, let me just send her a Voxer note. And I just sent a note. And then, like 2 hours later, they're in touch. Right. So, like, rich relationships can take you places that mass marketing never can. And the other thing is now it's easier to stay in touch because there's more tools. And so I feel like if you aren't staying in touch with people, but others are, then you're not going to be considered, right? Like out of sight, out of mind. And I think that the biggest thing that people need to focus on right now when it comes to rich relationships is actually the nurture piece. I think, yes, we can expand and build more relationships, but the way in which we're struggling is nurture. So there's build, got to know the right people and got to know what my goals and dreams are and create those initial connections. Nurture, I have to stay in touch with people so I'm top of mind and people feel that I'm important to them, right? And that they matter. And then third is activate. But you can't activate successfully if you haven't done the nurture. Because if you go from build to activate, then people will feel that you're a transactional person and they're not going to want to support you. So I just would love to like share this final example. So with my book launch, one thing that I've always done well, but I definitely did this with my book launch, is like I'm very good at nurture. So like, let's say, I'm working on the book cover and, texting people individually, hey, here are 3 covers. Which one do you like the best? I did something called Rich Relationships Behind the Scenes, which was like a webinar where I brought together my rich relationships. I didn't send, mass email. I reached out to people individually and said, hey, you're such an important person in my world. I'm launching my book. I would love to share with you the behind the scenes, what my big goals and dreams are. And so I did that and I got like 100 influential connections.
Cool.
And then I shared my bulk buy packages at the very end, right? And I did a lot of like different events to bring people together, virtual events, in-person events. And when I hit, the USA Today bestsellers list, thanks to you, I screenshot that on my phone and then also LA Times #3. And I started, I texted people like the 2 screenshots. And then the first sentence was always the same. Like I hit number 10 on USA Today and number 3 on LA Times. And then I would add a sentence like, thanks for pre-ordering a copy and making my dream come true. Thanks for having me on your podcast. Thanks for having me on being on my book launch team. Thanks for cheering me on. Right. So it was but because I like organized in a way, and this is like going back to like, you want to be doing the same action again and again. You don't want to be doing like, 47 different actions. You want to do like one action, but just slightly personalize it. So it's like upload the 2 pictures, copy and paste the 1 sentence, and then write 1 sentence. So, at first I was like just maybe reaching out to like, I don't know, like 7 people. And then I'm like, you know what, let me push myself. And so that day I reached out to 70 people. And by the next day I'd reached out to maybe like 120 people. And then people started, I didn't ask for anything. I wasn't trying to activate. I was just trying to tell people that you're important to me and I'm so excited and I want to share my win with you. So, people like, our mutual friend Jim Quick was like, oh yeah, I got the book here. I need to post. So then he did his Instagram story. And then, Mike McCallitz was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been meaning to support you. Okay, it's going in the newsletter today. And then a colleague who's a Circle 4, his name is Francis, and he's just Circle 4 because we're not in touch all the time. but he sees my Instagram stories, and even that's a form of nurturing because people see what you're up to. And he was like, Selena, do you think it would make a dent if I emailed my list of 600,000 people about your book? And I was like, are you for real? And I was like, okay, let me make it so easy. I'm going to create custom swipe. But I didn't ask anyone for anything, but I did keep them posted on the journey. And when you just circle back in the right moment, the right people are going to be like, oh my gosh, let me jump in. So that's like my number one piece of advice for everyone
So good.
is nurture your network. And the easiest way is just little pings to keep them updated on what is happening in your world.
That's so good. You are so good at that. And I love how you circle back. Folks, rich relationships create $1 million network for your business, as you could tell. I had like 20 questions I didn't even get to. There's so much tactical frameworks into this whole world of relationships, as you can tell from our conversation. So, Selena, where else do you want people to go to learn about you and follow you and stay connected to what you're doing?
Yeah, they can go to richrelationshipsbook.com/scripts. So one of people's favorite things in the book is scripts because you build rich relationships through conversation, right? And so this is how I built my, $100 million network, have achieved all these big things. So I package all of my scripts in one place, and you can get them at richrelationshipsbook.com/scripts.
Awesome. We'll link to the show notes. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Ask yourself right now, who is a rich relationship for you that you need to nurture? Let them know how much you appreciate them. Figure out a way to add value to them right now. And if you want to be a part of our journey, you can follow Selena on social, say hello to her. We would always love a review or share this episode. And maybe that's what you need to do is share this episode with someone who you think it'll be useful for. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time on the Influential Personal Brand Podcast.